What's up, everybody? Aaron Nagler here with I guess you call them cast of characters from around these here parts of the internet. Packers, bloggers, YouTubers, content creators extraordinaire, each and every one of them except for myself. I'm going to go around real quickly, introduce each and every one of them and ask them what they're drinking just so we can get on even footing here. You all know what the hell is going on and who is doing what. Starting off to my, I guess, left or right, depending on what screen you're looking at, Matt Ramage. Matt, how are you tonight, buddy?
Dude, I am good. I feel like I'm the odd one out. Everyone is good at podcasting.
Oh, stop. No, none of this. None of this false humility BS.
So humble.
I'm so humble. Matt, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking Spotted Cow.
That's a fine way to start it off. I like it. Next to Matt, we have Maggie Loney. Maggie, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for inviting me. This is a lot of people.
It is a lot of people, but that's the way we like it. What are you drinking, Maggie?
This is a sour IPA from Talia Brewing in New York City.
Ooh, New York City. What up? Shout out. Under Maggie, we have Tom Grossi from Grossi Posse Nation. Tom,
I think it's just
how are you, buddy?
It's like the big sign that's right there, but it's fine. It's fine. We're good.
No. You are what I say you are.
Oh, okay. A little M&M version. I like this. All right, yeah. No, we're good. Drinking a little Allagash White.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, very
good. Good to see you back in your proper environment. Not
absolutely
as lovely as it was to see you in Milwaukee.
I know.
Good to have you back, Andy Herman in the middle there. Andy.
Yeah, I feel like the odd man out here because I'm really freaking good at this. Unlike Matt, I'm just kidding.
That's what I want.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited. Yeah, exactly. Humility was never one of my things, but no, I'm drinking some Anape Brewery Cherry Mechanic. It's not very good, but I'm drinking it anyway.
That sounds great. I like it. I like it a lot.
Sales just plummeted.
Next to Andy, we have Nick Carter. Nick is joining us from work, so I don't think he's drinking, but maybe. Nick, how are you tonight? Oh no, we lost him. Nick's like out. Nick's like done.
Nick's like, I'm helping
at work, man.
That's right. I'm trying to be sober. I'm at work.
He's got like a spreadsheet up over the.
I know, right?
I'm not doing anything.
Oh no, Nick.
We can just make up what
I know. I'm good. Well, we'll make it up. He's drinking on the job, so that's why he's not unmuting himself. Peter Bukowski's here. Peter, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. I'm good.
You're on Cheesehead TV, Peter. Can you imagine that?
It's been a long time since I've been on Cheesehead TV. I'll tell you that.
Been a long time since you rock and rolled. What are you drinking tonight?
This is we're pizza tonight at our house. I got a little red wine, a little Chianti. No fava beans though, for those of you who know what the deal
Everyone
is.
out here drinking beer, and you're what?
That is so classy. Chianti's my favorite.
So on brand.
My parents are here. Like we're trying to do a class. That's fine.
Are they watching? Are they like behind the camera?
Well, they're not behind the camera, but they're behind the wall that the computer is on.
Gotcha. And next to Peter, we have Perri Goldstein. Perri, how are you tonight? What are you drinking?
Great. Peter's pulling a page out of my book. I usually have the goblet of wine in front of me.
Goblet. Nice.
I do.
What are you drinking now?
I'm drinking a sour beer from Braxton Labs in Kentucky. It's very good.
There you go. All right. Well, unlike Andy's, which apparently was not very good. So that's good.
Anape Brewery is great. It's a great brewery. Just this one.
A little backpedal there. That's good. We'll start with the defensive backs. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so hello to everybody in the comment section. I see you guys chirping away. Great to have everybody joining us tonight. We're going to preview the Packers 2021 training camp. Look, we're not going to be going too crazy into the narratives of a season ahead because obviously who the hell knows how things play out. But we are going to try and look at camp and training camp and what position battles we're going to be looking at and what kind of narratives we expect to see the next month or so into the preseason and things like that. I know the big news that everybody's talking about is the Tommy Stevens workout on Monday. No,
Obviously.
that's not it. That's not it. Obviously, rookies report tomorrow and then vets report on Tuesday. And we'll see if all of the vets show up, if you know what I mean. My first question for the group here, and I'll start with Matt Ramage because he is very knowledgeable about such things. Matt, so knowledgeable. Matt,
every time Ramage does false humility, can we drink? I feel like we need to.
I think
we gotta start that.
Happen. Oh, there we go.
I don't know much.
Oh, get out of it.
That's
now.
enough.
Here we go. Here's an quote easy one for you.
Small.
Who do you think is going to be the first rookie at training camp to make Twitter explode?
I would say, all right. No, I think, man. See, now I feel like an ass because I'm brain blocked. But the young corner, I think everyone.
Stokes.
Yeah, Stokes. See, Stokes for Stokes. See, this is what happens. I get brain farts. No, but I think everyone is so jacked up about him. Anything he does is remotely good. Everyone just be like, he's a god.
Right, especially since he's trying to take over for Kevin King.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to the secondary in a bit. I'm down with the idea that Stokes has a big interception and Twitter explodes, because whatever happens in camp when there's a good play, we all know things, and obviously negatives too, sometimes meltdowns, what have you. I'll ask Bukowski. Let me ask you this: do you think we see an extension for a vet prior to the start of camp next week?
Subtle.
Ooh.
It could be any vet. I'm not talking about a certain vet.
No. I get it.
You, Billy Turner.
Because not prior to the start of camp, but I would not be surprised at all if we saw the Davante Adams extension hit before the season starts. And I say that because, and we don't have to fall down the Aaron Rodgers rabbit hole, but I think at some point he will parachute in, maybe literally, to camp, and he's going to play this year. We don't know what the future looks like right now, but I think that could be enough for Davante Adams to say, okay, let me sign on the dotted line. It's going to be a boatload of money. And remember, before the Aaron Rodgers news broke, they're close. Now, depending on how you feel about Davante Adams' Instagram emoji use, maybe they're not as close as we thought. But look, I think certainly there has been negotiations. We had multiple reports locally here, and then we have the national report on, okay, there's been something discussed. It's hard for me to believe that 3 separate established reporters are all wrong about this thing, but don't tell Packers Twitter that. And I think Davante Adams is the guy, with Jair Alexander being the dark horse.
Oh, a Jair extension. I was wondering about Amos. Andy, what do you think as far as, yes, Davante could get done. I think that's the obvious one. And Jair, I think it's prudent for them to do that. But Andy, what do you think about an Amos extension? Do you think we might see that prior to the season starting, or does he get put on the back burner because of those other bigger names?
I think since they already did something to his contract, it's probably a little less likely, even though it's just a little restructure stuff. But how about a Bobby Tunyon? How about a Bobby Tunyon extension prior to the start of training camp? That could be another dark horse one that I think makes a ton of sense, because I think if Tunyon goes out and has another really big season, he could price his way out of Green Bay. So, maybe if you're Green Bay, you had your bets a little bit and say, hey, we're going to re-sign you big right now. You've had one good season. We don't need to overpay you. But I think that's one that could sneakily make some sense.
All right, I'm going to hit up this super chat real quick just because people are going to throw them up here. Tulio, this team is like the Super Bowl 31, and the reason is the leader is nothing like Star or Rodgers. Nags is a tough mother and incomparable to number 4. Go from Brazil. Tulio, thank you for checking in. That is awfully kind of you. Perri's got my jersey there on her floor, but it's all good. She just hasn't hung it up yet. Tom, Grossi, let me ask you this. I'm going to start with positions. I'm going to look at the biggest training camp battle that everybody's going to be talking about, and that's the punter battle. We're talking about J.K. Scott, once the weapon, now the misfire.
JK 47.
He's going up against Ryan Winslow, former San Diego Fleet punter.
Yep.
What do we think? We think JK's got it in him to stick around?
Here's my opinion on JK Scott. Listen, I think once he graduates high school and is allowed to stay out after 9 p.m., those night games are going to get a lot more manageable. He'll probably start getting into a coffee addiction. And I really think it's going to start improving his game. In all honesty, he's shown flashes of being a capable punter. And I know over the years, and this is where I'm hoping, this is pure optimism. They brought in competition for Mason Crosby, and he's like, haha, that's funny. And I'm hoping that J.K. Scott can kind of step up. He's still a young dude. I'm not ready to call him an all-out bust just yet. But I tend to think that J.K. is gonna pull it out from what I've seen. Again, it could be anything, but Yeah, some of them were real bad last year, and I don't want to see that ever again. The fact that opponents had short fields almost like every time was a little bit of a problem. Just smidge.
I totally hear you. Does anybody here think that JK doesn't get it done? That they move on? Andy Herman raising his hand.
Yeah, no, I think he's done. I think when you show that you can't be consistent, I think your time is very limited. And I think he's had 3 years of inconsistency. I don't know how you necessarily prove that in a training camp that you're not inconsistent. I don't know that it's necessarily Ryan Winslow that wins it. I could easily see them taking somebody in on cutdowns. This is why you don't draft from House Slytherin. Nothing ever good comes from House Slytherin. And B, when it comes to Ryan Winslow, I think the great Kanye West said it best when he said, "Too many Urkels on your team. That's why you're Winslow." And so I don't know that you can trust him either. So I think that's where we are.
I may have to. I may. Nick,
I gotta go.
Are you there, Matt?
Great roundtable.
Yeah,
right?
I'm back, man. Somebody,
Nick's back.
Yeah, it just happened that somebody came by the office as soon as we started introducing
Oh
ourselves.
my!
But,
What's funny is that I've been trying to get Nick on Cheesehead TV for 2 years. I finally get him on. And intro him, and he's muted. I love it. Nick,
like always, man. I always appreciate the love, man. Definitely.
Oh no, absolutely, man. I used to link to your stuff at the Green Bay Press Gazette. Like, dude, you lock it down. It's good shit. Let me ask you, Nick. Let me ask you this.
What's up?
Do you think the new special teams coach makes a major difference, or do you think special teams continue to be an issue?
I don't know, man. I mean, can't go nowhere up from here. I mean, from where we've been at. So I mean, I would hope so. Going into this season, like before, they had issues, covering punts and returning punts, and then we had those times when we actually did return a punt, you get a flag. So hopefully, they learn from that, and they build off what they did last year. So I mean, that's the plan, right? I mean, they got some guys that they went out and drafted. Hopefully, we'll see what Rodgers does, and if he's the returner or whatnot, and maybe he can make a difference. But I mean, hey, I'm hoping nothing but the best.
I love it. I love that. Nothing but optimism here on this roundtable. That's
man. Oh yeah.
Nothing but optimism. Andrew with the super chat. Thanks, Andrew. Nick Collins is in Green Bay. Are we signing him to play inside backer? All jokes aside, I love Collins and hate that his career was cut short. Amen to that. I know he is part of that crew that is doing the kind of the shortened version of the tailgate tour. He, Ryan Grant, Morgan Burnett, and a bunch of other guys. James Jones, I think, is involved. They just departed today on a short version of the tailgate tour. Maggie Loney, let me ask you this. Pax what she said, provocateur that you are.
Yes.
I just made that up.
I know. I know.
Looking at the safety spot, Adrian Amos and Darnell Savage, we know who they are, what they do, how good they can be. Do we think Vernon Scott has a place? Does he take this camp? Does he take this jump in this camp? Or does one of the other young bucks behind them, maybe a Will Redmond, Henry Black, one of those guys, maybe one of the undrafted kids, jump up and take that third safety spot, that rotational spot?
See, you're mixing up these questions, because if you had rotated to me after Matt's question, Christian Uphoff is a name that I think he already seems like a fan favorite on Twitter, even though, nobody's really seen much from him, but I think he's fun. I think he looks good in a Joe Barry defense. I say looks, in quotes, because we haven't really seen anything from him, but no, I think that third spot is up in the air. I think Will Redmond gets early looks because he's kind of the de facto third, being on the roster longer than everybody else, but I don't necessarily think that he's carved out, a secure spot.
No, I'm very, very much with you on that one. Luke, thanks for the super chat. I don't care. He still has time on his rookie deal. Give Elton Jenkins all the money for all the years. Hashtag Grossi Posse. PackCast member coming in while Tom is not on camera. So that's
terrific Aaron Rodgers impression by Tom right now.
That is spot on. Wait, are we supposed to drink when we talk about Aaron? Is that it? Oh, no, it was the Matt Ram. Right.
Drink
okay.
twice.
We're supposed to drink.
Drink twice for
Two
Aaron.
drinks. Got it.
I'll drink whenever you tell me to.
Yeah, all right.
You'll drink whenever we don't tell you to.
Yeah, exactly. That's fair. That's fair. And now, hey, it's almost like I planned this from the safeties to the cornerback spot, and I'm going to talk to Perri about cornerbacks because I know she is the queen of cornerback play. There's no bigger Jair Alexander fan on this planet than Perri Goldstein. Perri, let me ask you this. You guys at Pax What She Said, I believe I can't be 1,000% sure, but I think you guys were the only one out of this group who mocked Eric Stokes to the Packers. Is that correct? I think I know you guys did, but I think that's
we got dragged for it too.
I know you did. That's my point.
And
that's my point.
Yeah.
So clearly the battle here is King v. Stokes. And I think that's what we all are going to be watching for starting next week. How do you see that playing out? We know Jair's there. Mr. Lockdown. Kevin King coming off a year where he didn't have a single interception across from Jair and Alexander.
He got
Multiple
picked on.
opportunities. How do you see Stokes v. King going down these next couple weeks?
Those last two questions, you're really like giving everyone a preview of what this week's Packs What She Said episode was about. I think
Emotion, baby.
King starts the season, right? They didn't bring him back for $5 million for him to not start. But I think over the course of the season, he gets overtaken by Eric Stokes. I think we put up a couple of over-unders at one point, and I think I said by week 9, Eric Stokes is a starter.
Oh, here we go. William's got a super chat for us. William, sorry to mention about the elephant in the room, but do you all think the Packers did enough for Aaron Rodgers? I think so. William?
Drink.
I honestly don't care, and I'm drinking.
I'll drink to that.
Y'all gonna be out of here before this stream is over. I can tell that now.
This is clearly Nick's first time on She Said TV. Sir. A lot of ball game left.
I had number 2 already lined up. I knew how this was going to go.
Yeah, exactly. I will say we will get to Aaron Rodgers when we talk about the quarterbacks, but we're not to the quarterbacks yet. Ramage, let me ask you something.
All right.
Who is your favorite Green Bay Packers player of all time?
Of all time.
All time.
All right. Paul Hornung. Because
Really?
yeah.
Wow. That's a random one.
Ever since like I was a kid, he was like just like his story, like, and then everyone talks about like he was always getting hammered. Like
That makes
So
sense.
now we know. Yeah. Now all of
Well,
a sudden.
In hindsight,
Oh, wait. Now it makes perfect sense.
No, but like he was always like a guy, like as a kid, like you read books, the Packer books growing up, and his story, like he was gonna like retire. He was like, I don't need to do this, because back then they weren't getting paid millions, so they were like, if we're gonna suck, I'm not gonna be here. And then Lombardi came and it was all, and then he did all of that, and he played every position. I just love it. Number 5, but like guys I met, Tom Crabtree, I'll say.
There you go. I
Tom
like
Crabtree.
that.
Tom is mad he's not here right now. He was just tweeting about it.
Like you said in the private chat.
I like it. I got a super chat from Mark. I'm just here for Matt Ramage. Cheers, buddy. Thank you, Mark.
Me
Thanks for the
too.
support.
Me too.
Luke Birch. Glory to the Tomulus leader. I don't even want to touch that. I don't even know what that means. That seems that seems dangerous. I'm going to continue on.
It is.
with outside linebacker now.
Are we all on a list now?
Bukowski. Let me tell you something. Bukowski. There was a lot of people on the internet. Somebody who may be occupying the center square here. We're not very fond of the Rashan Gary pick when it happened in real time.
Yeah.
But it seems that those fears that some draft experts had when the pick was made have been allayed somewhat. Do we think, or more to the point, do you think this is your Rashan Gary? Do you think next week we just start to see, and I know they're not going to be in pads next week, but do you think like this camp is going to be one of those holy mother Mary of God, this guy is about to take over the league? Or do we think it's going to continue to be a slow burn? Because it's like everything he's done has been continuously better. There hasn't been really a game where you can point to where it's just been like, oh my God, amazing, the light has gone on. It's just been this kind of steady progress, right? How do you see it playing out in year 3 for Gary?
I think there hasn't been a game where it's like, oh, that was the Rashan Gary game. I mean, we're coming off the NBA Finals where it's like we had the Giannis game, we had the Drew Holiday game. We haven't had the Rashan Gary game quite yet, but I don't remember exactly what the time period was, but Pro Football Focus had a stat about the top graded and most productive pass rushers over the final
from week 16, right? From week 16 to basically to the Super Bowl. But,
right. He was elite. He was awesome. I don't know what Andy Herman's grades had him at, but that's another data point that we could certainly use. And what happens with these players usually is, especially when they have the kind of physical tools that Rashan Gary has, and we talk about freaks, physical freaks, like 99.99 percentile speed score and 40 time at his size, and like all of the numbers are just crazy. And I think what fans can get really excited about Rashan Gary is he cares. His gives a shit quotient is really high,
off the charts.
And Mike Smith has talked about this. Like, if you have talent and you give a shit, that's all I want as a coach is that. And so, I think Bill Huber said it. The best player at OTAs and minicamps was Rashan Gary, and so he was that guy. So if once the pad goes on, he can translate that. Yeah, I mean, I think we could see that kind of jump this year, and if we do, I mean, maybe that's the thing ahead of someone like Eric Stokes, who's probably not going to make an impact, as Perri said, until maybe, week 7, week 8, week 9. Rashan Gary could be the guy that jumps out of the gates like, oh, wait, if this guy is this defense can be really good.
So, Tom, let me ask you something. How long do you think it takes the defense to gel under Barry?
Yeah. So here's the thing. Like, I feel like the pieces have been there. Like, after we brought in everybody off free agency, like, that was the time where we're like, okay, there's no more excuses now. Like, it's time to be good, right? And you saw it's time now. And I feel like they go through these ebbs and flows. The run defense is constantly hated on. It was not that bad last year. I mean, it wasn't amazing by any stretch of the imagination, but it wasn't too shabby. I think that with Barry, I actually don't have the highest of hopes for him as DC, but I have high hopes for what he could do for that inside linebacker core. And I'm actually more excited about that because I think the personnel that's on the field is good enough regardless of who the DC is. Like, I feel like there's enough talent that's there that, like, if Joe Barry's not the greatest defensive coordinator in the world, it's really okay. Because if Rashan Gary and Jair and Savage and Amos and they all have like these amazing games and they do really, really well, I'm good with it. Inside linebacker for me has been a position that I think I've done like top 5 draft needs for I don't know how many years now. And guess what? They're always in top 3. Like, it's always on the list. Yep. And I think that if they can take someone, like Martin, or they could take someone like Barnes and they can make them like into a much better player. Like, we've done this for so long without a sturdy like inside linebacker. If we are able to be okay at that position, I think that unlocks so much for this defense.
I will say this. Hold on, Aaron, before you go.
Go Nick.
If you look at, depending on how you view the Saints now that Breeze is gone. Mm-hmm. If you look at their first, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 6, 7, 8 games. I mean, they're going to get some offenses where they can pretty much get this defense gelled in by the time they see a Chiefs or maybe even the Cardinals and the Seahawks.
That's a good point. Like that. That's a good point. Right.
The schedule, they did them some favors for this new DC, so we'll see.
I like that. That's a really good point. Yeah. Andy, let me ask you about 2 things. One, on the outside linebacker spot, and then 2, I want to get into the inside backer spot that Tom just brought up. First, who do you see jumping up to make that kind of 4th spot, as far as solidify the 4th spot outside? Because we know obviously the Smiths and Gary will be rotating quite a bit. They'll probably use all 3 of them at times. But who's the 4th guy? Who do you see from the collective there jumping up and taking it?
I'm hoping it's Jonathan Garvin, right? And I think special teams is probably going to dictate that quite a bit. And we saw Ramsey play a decent amount on special teams. So it could certainly be him for that reason. But let me put it this way. I think if it's a number 4 outside linebacker, I think it could be Ramsey or somebody else just based on special teams. I don't know that Jonathan Garvin is going to be that guy. If Gary, Preston, Zadarius would get hurt and you would actually need another outside linebacker to be the number 3 guy,
minutes, right?
Then I think it's Jonathan Garvin. I think he jumps over anyone to actually play on defense. I just don't know that he has the special teams chops yet to be the 4th guy, which is what basically you're on the roster on game day for. So I think Garvin makes the team regardless. I think he's either the 4th or 5th guy. And I think if you actually need somebody to play on defense, I think it's him. I'm going back to Peter just for a moment because he brought it up. Mm-hmm. And just because I never actually look at this crap. But when I do, it's always interesting. Week 16 is what you mentioned for Pro Football Focus. Up to that point, I had never given Rashan Gary a plus 1.0 grade ever in his career, which is a very high grade. Week 16, 17, and then the divisional round, plus 1.25, plus 1.0, plus 1.35. So 3 back-to-back-to-back weeks of really, really strong grades, which, again, like he hadn't had one of those for me up until that point in his career. So, no, hopefully he can continue that going forward into this year.
And that's always interesting, right? When a guy ends on a hot streak, like Kenny Clark played the best game of the year in the NFC Championship game,
absolutely,
which sucks because it's like we know he missed time early with injury, and then he took a while to round into shape.
His trainer, by the way, who I talked to earlier this offseason, is like I know trainers like they talk shit about stuff, but he's talking about Kenny Clark like he told me off air, but whatever. Like he could be a 10 sack guy this year. Like he just has that sort of look. Like if he is healthy, he's got that look. He's been training with the pass rush moves. They're going to play him a little bit more at 3 tech. Like this could be the year that we get that monster Kenny Clark season.
And just get him some help. Just get him a little bit of help.
Just for shits and giggles, week 15 plus 1.9, week 16 plus 1.17, 155, division round great game, conference best grade of the year 1.95. Just last 5 weeks, just killed it. Absolutely.
No question about it. Maggie, let me ask you about the inside linebacker spot. And Tom brought up, Barnes and Martin, and I think, yes, ascending young players. What do you think of the Peterson addition? Because he had a solid year with Arizona. I mean, they let him go because they drafted a guy that they want to get on the field. But I like that addition. What do you think he brings inside there, and do you think he can solidify it?
Are we talking about Devondre Campbell?
Oh, did I say Peterson? Campbell, yes. Thank you.
I thought I missed something giant that happened.
You didn't. No, you didn't.
No, I mean, I think that, like, as much as, like, BJ Goodson and Antonio Morrison, those guys were, like, insurance policies, I don't see that with Devondre Campbell. I think that he'll come in and immediately be a starter. That's something Perri and I actually talked about on Pax, what she said. I don't know if he's going to be, like, the guy that comes in and wears a communication helmet. I'm kind of wondering who will take that over for Joe Barry's defense. I could kind of see it being Adrian Amos, if I'm, being honest. But I mean, I think that all Campbell will come in and do is push guys like Chris Barnes and Kamal Martin, and maybe not necessarily that they need it. I think that they could have produced, but Campbell's played like 79% of snaps or more on defense since 2017. So you don't think the Packers brought him in to play 30-40% of snaps. Like, I think he's going to be a focal point in the middle of the defense. And, maybe that says that they don't trust the room as much, or just, knowing the injuries that they had at the position in 2020, there's not a ton of insurance there if some of these young guys get hurt right away.
To Tom's point, I mean, Barry is an ex-linebackers coach, and maybe he said something. Maybe he said, I want, maybe not that guy in particular, but I want a guy that I can count on down in and down out in a way that maybe he didn't see on tape from some of the other two guys. That's all obviously guesswork, but everybody in the comments, chats, thank you so much. You guys keep it up. I got a bunch of super chats to get to. I'm going to get to them at the end because a lot of them are about the same subject that we will talk about eventually. We'll get there. But I want to keep going on defense. The defensive line, the big boys. Nick, let me ask you about Kenny Clark. We heard from Peter here talking about Kenny Clark. What do we think? Is this a year where at least, I mean, I don't ever expect this to be a star-studded group. We certainly don't think that TJ Slayton's going to come in and just light the NFL on fire. But can they do enough to get Kenny the kind of, I want to say help, but like just give him some one-on-ones, because so many offenses either double team him off the snap or slide protection inwards, like pinch stuff, so they are not having to deal with him, etc. Can they get him some one-on-ones? Is this a year where we finally see Kenny kind of explode? Is what I want to know.
I mean, honestly, I would have wanted them to go out and, potentially sign a free agent, such as, Gino, I don't know what he's looking at and stuff like that, bring in some veteran help to help him out. So that way he can stay healthy, because he's been, he'll get banged up randomly throughout the year. And then maybe that's because he's taking on too much when he's, in those
taking a ton of snaps. Yeah,
right.
That's true.
Exactly.
That's true.
So if they could just, give him some help, then he'll hopefully stay healthy longer, and then, he'll continue to do what he's been doing. And so, like I said, hopefully the guys that they brought in, maybe they can do that for him.
Andy, what do you think? Is Slayton a player? Total guesswork here, Mr. Draft Work? What's going on?
I really hope so. Yeah, because my Rashan Gary turned out very, very well. No, I really hope Slayton can be a guy. And I think, I think a perfect role for him is basically exactly what Montrevious Adams was the last couple of seasons to begin with, right? I think you play him 150, 200 snaps, maybe if he shows well a little bit more than that. But you start him off as a rotational guy, let him kind of play in that same similar role. And frankly, I think year one, bottom line, I think he can be better than Montrevious Adams was in any of his 3 years as a Green Bay Packer. So I do really like what he brings to the table. He was one of my favorite Packers picks in this draft, bar none. But those are just ones that you have to give time. But I will say this, in person, TJ Slayton is a freaking dude. Like he's huge. It is fun to see him in person. So it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it certainly doesn't hurt either.
Perri, will the Packers have a top 5 defense?
That's the question, I guess.
That's the question.
No. Sorry.
That was so perfect.
Top 10, maybe, but it kind of, I mean, Maggie and I just talked about this, right? It's the weakest link system. And right now I see a lot of weak links. Like, I think defensive line needs help. I think if Kevin King's starting, he's going to continue to get picked on. I think we don't know what's going to happen at inside linebacker. Like, there's a lot of holes. I think there's a lot of things Joe Barry can bring, but I don't see him like changing the scheme up so much that all of a sudden you're getting this like dominant, defense. We know who these pieces are. There's only so much you can do with them, but I think top 10 is feasible.
I'd agree with that. Anybody disagree with top 10? Everyone think they're going to bottom out? There's just too much talent. There's no way Barry can screw it up.
No, I think top 10 is good.
Yeah.
Anybody? There's by the way, there's definitely a way that Joe Barry can screw it up. Like
that's what I'm asking.
I don't think that's likely, but there's a roadmap to it. I mean, this is someone who has been the architect of some very bad defense,
horrific defense.
Yeah, and
twice.
None of them were like half as talented as this Packers defense, but this was something that was a huge topic of discussion, right? When they were interviewing these guys, right. Joe Barry was really the only guy at the top of the list. I mean, they even of the Rams guys, I think he was the least exciting guy that they interviewed. Right. And so that makes this an open question. But again, I mean, I think Perri mentioned it. We know what the talent is, but at the same time, defense is a weak link system. And so if the cornerback 2 is still going to be a weak link, that's a problem. If they're going to have some defensive line issues, if the linebacker position, if they're not going to play disciplined, that's going to be a problem. I just, as Andy was talking, I was looking it up, the snap numbers up last year. What happened?
You weren't listening to me? You were looking things up while I was talking, Peter? I'm hurt.
Kind of like how you were looking up your draft grades or your week grades. You're like, we're all looking shit up. It's all good.
I generally tune you out. So Kenny Clark played 58% of snaps. Part of that was he was hurt. Dean Lowry played almost 59% of snaps. Kingsley Keke played 40%. Tyler Lancaster played 34%. Montravius Adams, 12.5. So if the top 3 guys are going to play a bunch, I don't know what that leaves for Slayton. But I think we can probably all agree that they could use an upgrade over Tyler Lancaster. So, if you can have those opportunities to just get a rotational guy in there to play 30%, 35% of snaps, I think that's a potentially big deal to save. As Nick said, save those hits on Kenny Clark's body. Like if you just have more guys, there were times last year he's playing 80% of snaps.
Exactly.
You just can't. You
blows
can't
my
have
mind.
That.
And maybe their way of trying to help Kenny was putting Zadarius over the center and stuff like that. But I mean, Zadarius is at his best on playing outside, and so they just got to find ways to shore up that inside of that D line.
I could not agree more. Man, I love this chat. You guys are amazing. Packers top heaviest team in the NFL. Yeah, if you're looking at cap dollars, yeah, probably I would agree with that. It's kind of ridiculous. All right, everyone loves offense. Everyone loves offense, so fine. Let's talk offense. Let's go. Let's talk about the big heavies. Let's talk about the offensive line. Does anyone think that David Bakhtiari starts week 1?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I hope.
All right, I'm drinking on that. That's I'm down with that.
I hope so much.
Yeah. I mean, I got to admit, okay. We're all assuming he starts camp on PUP, right? We can all agree on that.
Yep.
Right. Like Packers, especially being as conservative as they are medically, undoubtedly when guys arrive on Tuesday, blah, 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 we'll hit Wednesday. We'll get out there and we'll get some kind of announcement of the guys who are on PUP. I got to expect Bakhtiari is one of them, right? He looks great. Say they have, that first week of camp, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They activate him, even if he practices, I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that he plays right away.
I'll be shocked. Because when he got hurt,
play or if he doesn't play.
I'll be shocked if he does play. Honestly, I think I had him out till October, to be honest with you.
Right.
But now that we've gotten some more information on his, on his injury status and stuff like that, maybe he comes back week 3, maybe week 2. I'll be shocked if he plays week 1 though.
Nick, do you think David Bakhtiari or Aaron Rodgers is activated first?
Oh, drink, Aaron Rodgers.
Drink twice. Drink twice.
I got my thoughts on Aaron, man. I'll save them though for when we get.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Peter, you're trying to break the rules here.
Wasn't Bukowski in May say that he was like halfway there? Which if he got injured in basically December,
New Year's Eve, he got injured. So
like mid-May would have been like 5 months. So that would have put like what, like I'm no math major / physicist, whatever. Like, wouldn't that put like October if he was halfway?
Makes sense. It's just crazy. We all got excited, and I did too, when we saw him moving around so well in the offseason.
That's
right?
not the same as live.
No, exactly. 100% correct.
Having like a 300-pound linebacker coming at you.
1,000,000,000%. So
I'd rather him not push it and be there for the stretch of the season. Like
and that's the point, though. Remember how frustrated Devontae was that he didn't play in that Monday nighter against Atlanta, and it was
it didn't matter.
Well, that didn't matter because obviously the
converting fourth downs,
but also remember how the Falcons played Julio on his hamstring, and then he re-aggravated it, and then he was wrong all season basically. And now he's traded away, etc. And it's just like that's why the Packers operate the way they do, and that's why the more I've thought about it this offseason, I'm like, yeah, they're going to totally err on the side of caution with Bakhtiari, and I think having Elton Jenkins makes that decision a hell of a lot easier.
Just imagine mishandling a superstar so bad he wants to be traded. I can't imagine it.
I can't even imagine. How is that even possible? No, only a fucking idiotic franchise would go down that road.
Never heard of it.
Twice.
I was gonna wear my shirt of your quote, but I didn't think it wasn't all gonna fit on camera. So of the the Packers never have quarterback controversy, so every 16 years they make up for it. But the text was too long. All right, so that's the question of the offseason, though, right? And thank you, everyone sending in super chats. We will get to them at the end of the hour. Thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Elton Jenkins slides over to left tackle. Yes or no, Andy Herman?
First of all, did you say David Bakhtiari is the question of the offseason?
No, I most certainly did not.
Oh, okay. The other one. Okay, gotcha. Just making sure because I was very confused.
No, sir.
Yes, I think he starts at left tackle if Bakhtiari's not there. Yes, 100%.
That makes sense. And then who jumps up and plays left guard?
I'm going to say John Runyon Jr. at left guard, Lucas Patrick right guard, Myers center, and then Turner right tackle.
Okay, and then the real question.
We got to ask you a question. You never get asked questions. So
I know I'm hosting.
I know, but everyone wants to hear Nagler. Like that's what people are here for, right?
No, they don't.
So let's say that is the formation, right? Let's say it's Jenkins and then John Runyon Jr., Myers, Patrick, and Turner.
Right.
Bakhtiari comes back. Mm-hmm. Then Elton Jenkins moves where, and who are you taking out of the starting lineup?
Oh, Jenkins moves to left guard and Runyon's out of there.
Runyon's out, or do you move Runyon to right guard?
He's out. No, Patrick had a good year, and Patrick's better than Runyon at this point. Now, maybe
I'm a Runyon Jr. stan, okay?
I get it, man, and I like Runyon too, but
I'm with Perry.
I think
I'm with her.
It'd be a long shot. There you go. For Runyon to take over for Patrick. I'm not saying that it's not possible. And maybe I'm going purely by what we saw last year. Now, you're never staying in place. You're getting better. You're getting worse. Runyon might hit the field next week and throughout the month and be like, oh my God, this kid's amazing. And that changes the idea, right? But for me, Jenkins slides to left guard.
What about the mulleted star, Royce Newman?
He could be
playing guard, playing tackle. Like he could be in the mix. It sounds like he's like legit in the mix.
It sounds like Ben Braden's in the mix, for God's sakes. I mean, that's what's so exciting about camp this year is that this offensive line competition is going to be incredible. And I think the most important question that no one has asked yet, and I'm going to do it right now because I'm the host, does Yosh Nijman make the team?
No Nijman.
No, Herman crushing dreams. You're going to kill my Yosh with the most segment, and we just lost.
He's back. You have a limited period of time as a undrafted dude to show that you are capable, and if it's not through 3 years, it's probably not going to happen. Is the best.
But he played every game last year, albeit on special teams. But he was there.
Listen, I would love it. It would be great. I just think if you start doing the offensive line math, and you start,
I know that's the problem.
Newman, all the guys they drafted,
especially since he only plays tackle. That's the other thing that kills him. Yeah.
Yep.
The problem is, who are the other tackles? Is Braden going to play? Is he going to be the backup tackle? Because if David Bakhtiari is not there, you have a tackle problem.
You've
I
got
don't think they
Jenkins, and you've
care.
got Turner, and then you've got
And that's
the guys
kind of
they
it.
drafted.
Right.
I don't think they care. I think
Maybe they don't care.
Matt LaFleur takes best 5 linemen more extreme than anyone I've ever seen. I don't think he cares where they line up. I think he just literally wants you.
Shout out to Adam Stenovich too. I don't think we've given enough. We have not given enough credit to Stenovich. It's easy to forget now. Moving on from James Campen, and I'll be the first to admit, I'm going, why? James Campen is like one of the best offensive line coaches in football. Why are they just like, nah, we're good? And they bring in this unproven guy, and guess what? Matt LaFleur was 100% right about that. I was 100% wrong. And we haven't, and maybe that's why we haven't given enough credit to Steno, because no one predicted, hey, guess what? He's going to keep this offensive line together with baling wire and sheet metal, and it's going to be fine no matter who plays. It's pretty remarkable what he's done.
Yeah. Awesome. I don't think there's any question that the offensive line is like the engine, so to speak, that everything flowed off of last year. Grossi, I got a question for you. If Matt LaFleur wins Coach of the Year without Aaron Rodgers as his quarterback, how soon does the statue get built?
Well, first of all, it's Matt, Tom Grossi's best friend, LaFleur.
Right.
Ever since Game
point.
7
so you're obviously coming at this with a bias. So
obviously. And again, I'm gonna try to remove myself as much as humanly possible, considering we text daily. If he is able to do that, that statue gets built the day after the season's done. So basically, February when we win the Super Bowl. Yeah, I think that LaFleur right now is like flying under the radar for like national media. I don't think he gets enough credit. I mean, because
can't imagine why.
I can't imagine. The thing that kind of like sticks out to me the most, and this is why I kind of have to like sit back and give a hearty chuckle, is when he got hired, that entire summer was just a shit show of look how he's so young. Aaron Rodgers is going to slap him in the face and is going to make him, bring M&Ms, but sort out all the colors and just the ones that he likes and like do all of these things. And like, it turned out,
Proof my God. He didn't do that, Tom. Proof he didn't do that.
Yeah, right. We don't know.
Like, when we next, I mean, I heard that he just doesn't like the green ones, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is that the fact that LaFleur has done this much with this roster, and I will be the first one, or probably not the first one, but like, I don't like how they got rid of McCarthy. I don't like how they got rid of him after the Cardinals game. Let him finish out the year. Like Joe Philbin, like being in there. I didn't like it. I understand the urgency of like, this is putting our mean face and we're going to get rid of him right now. But I think that you had a locker room that wasn't feeling too hot. There was guys that weren't there. And, I think that LaFleur came in and from every interview there's ever been, it seems that he brought this culture, this enthusiasm, this energy back to the locker room. And like, I'm all about it. So I think LaFleur deserves all the credit in the world. Now he's going through a QB crisis, so to speak. So to speak. Listen, the Woodleys, they're retweeting. That means a lot to me. So I
Woodley's
think
free drinks anytime Woodley gets mentioned.
Yeah, I got
Woodley is free. Absolutely.
Crap. So I think that at the end of the day, LaFleur is going to deal with what's on the field. I love the fact that he has such a rapport with QBs. He has an entire career that's built off of that. So if, God forbid, it's Jordan Love right this second and like Rodgers just out, I think that he's going to give him the best opportunity to succeed. And I think that like you can't ask for anything more of that from a head coach.
Do we think Matt LaFleur could win Coach of the Year with Aaron Rodgers as quarterback? Because I don't.
No chance.
I don't. No, definitely
not. Well, that's why I said what I said, Peter. It's like he's not going to win Coach of the Year if Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback.
Right.
That's never going to happen. I think last year proved that, actually.
I voted for him, but
Matt Ramage. There was a gentleman, Bears fan, in the comments here. I just wonder if you have any messages, anything you need to impart, some wisdom perhaps that Bears fans could utilize in their lives at this point.
Bears fans are so notorious for like drafting a quarterback and already like he's the next Joe Montana. Like Mitch Trubisky, like I've already been through this. I'm not saying anything bad about Justin Fields because I think he's probably a good quarterback, but like
because he hasn't played for the Bears yet.
Yeah, the Bears will ruin him. Mitch traded up at all. Dude, I've been trashing the Bears for years. They've always told me, Mitch Trubisky is going to be this and he's going to be that. He wasn't. And he might have been. Like, I feel bad for Mitch Trubisky because if he got drafted to, like, another any 28 teams.
Any competent team, right?
Yeah, like there's 28 other teams that could have drafted him. He might have been something, but you ruined his career. As far as I'm concerned, the Bears should come out and apologize to him. And I'll say the same thing probably about Justin Fields in a few years. The Bears ruin quarterbacks. There's never, if you're a linebacker and you get drafted to the Bears, you're probably going to have a good time. If you're a quarterback get drafted to the Bears, probably not so much. So
we all going to be Trubisky fans now, right? Like, I hope he goes on and just.
I hope he lights it
up. Absolutely dominates.
Kid's married. Guess got married. He's in a new place. Like, I hope he just goes on a tear. I hope
he gets opportunities somewhere and just. I would love it so much. I would love so much to watch Trubisky wherever he ends up. Like I know he's on the Bills tonight.
The Bills,
right now. Yeah. Yep. He's obviously not going to get a situation there. But like if he ever ends up somewhere where he gets a
starting jib, right?
A time to shine, I would love so much. I wouldn't buy his jersey, but I would consider it just to
love it.
Get to the Bears.
Can I just stay for like a hot second? So like I think we can all agree like Trubisky is definitely not the greatest quarterback in the world, right? Like he's not there. Correct. But Pete's like, all right, listen, calm down there with that rhetoric, calm down. But I think that what good coaches do is they put their players in the best, opportunities and chances to succeed. And honestly, like Trubisky is really good out of the pocket. He's a mobile QB. He can make things happen. And like they destroyed him back there. They gave him no running game. And they're like, David Montgomery, we don't need him. Your offensive line is like total trash. I mean, I am jealous that they got Tevin Jenkins because I think he's going to be a monster.
Yeah,
but
agreed.
I will say that like I think that's just the sign of a good coach, right? I mean, like you look at, like the Bill Belichick's of the world, and they're like, listen, like Cam Newton right now is not able to sling the ball. So like first few weeks, let's just have him run it a whole lot. And they were successful. So I think like at the end of the day, you need a coach to do that. Now he's back up for the Bills, right? The Trubisky, like he's sitting there.
Yes.
Like, listen, if it ain't the Packers, go get yourself a ring. Just because if the Packers can't win it and the fact that Trubisky would win it before the Bears, it would just melt my cold, perfect heart.
I think Nick Foles starting was putting Mitch Trubisky in the best position for him to succeed.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
right. 100%. Okay, let's bring it back to the Packers and the tight end group because we talked about offensive line. We're moving out to tight ends. Perri, got a question for you. We talked about Tonyan possibly getting an extension earlier. I think that's a really good idea, trying to preemptively strike, so to speak. Obviously, there's a bit of it's going to be fun to watch how it plays out in camp because of Jay Sternberger's suspension for those first 2 weeks. He's allowed to practice. He's allowed to play in the preseason games, and then he's suspended for 2 weeks. Do we think Josiah DeGuara makes him completely expendable? Do we think that, he's coming off the ACL, so he's probably on PUP to start the year, to start camp. But we saw how much they seem to like Josiah last year, right out of the gate, week 1 against the Vikings. They were throwing to him. They were running him across formation, etc. Do you think there's talent enough there? Maybe a Dominic Daphne who plays special teams? Maybe is this Jace's last stand? Does he even get a stand? Do you think he makes the final 53?
Is that your question? Does Jason?
That's my phone.
Okay, because that was a lot, and I don't know what you're asking. I mean, I can't say anything about Josiah DeGuara because he played like 1 game, so I don't know.
He played also coming off. Thank you.
You know what I mean? Like he didn't show us much. Coming off an ACL can totally change a player, so I don't really want to put a lot of like stock or expectations on him because I think that's unfair. We know that Matt LaFleur is really excited about him, so I have a feeling they'll work him back into the playbook like pretty readily. I think I don't remember who said it earlier, but you get a couple of seasons to prove yourself, and you're likely going to lose a roster spot. And I think like Jace is teetering on the edge. I actually have this debate with my dad a lot because I think Jace is a cut candidate, and my dad thinks he gets another shot just because of like where he was drafted. Like you don't cut third-round picks like that. I mean,
there's something to the draft
produced more than like if you're comparing him to like any other third-round pick who's not producing. Like Oren Burks is still on the roster, and Oren Burks has done less than Jay Sternberger.
Josh Jackson's still on the roster,
right? Exactly, and he's second-round pick, and he's done literally nothing. So I don't think that Jace is done because I don't think the Packers give up.
Hey, don't say Josh Jackson's done nothing. He had a big PI down in Tampa last year. Come on, he's done stuff.
He had that awesome preseason game that one time.
Yeah. He had that interception against the Steelers in the preseason. I mean, he's done stuff.
A suspension is a sneaky, awesome thing for a team when it's a Jay Sternberger, because you get to keep him on your roster for 2 weeks. You know somebody's going to get hurt in the first 2 weeks and have to go on IR or whatever after that. So, like, you get a free roster spot for 2 weeks. It's not like you need Jay Sternberger the first 2 weeks. It's not like win or losing is paramount to Jay Sternberger being on the roster the first 2 weeks. But now he's basically like the 54th guy on your roster. And now something happens, of course, in the first 2 weeks to somebody. You're just like, all right, I guess we got Jay Sternberger to bring back now. Like, it worked. It kind of works out really well in a way.
I think too, like if you look at the 5 tight ends that theoretically are vying for what might be 4 spots, like, Mercedes Lewis has it, but he's more of, a 6th offensive lineman at this point. So to me, Jay Sternberger is really only competing with Robert Tonyan. Like, you're looking at field stretching tight ends. Dominique Daphne has to worry about Josiah DeGuara. Like, I don't think comparing Josiah DeGuara and Jay Sternberger does much, because I think they serve such different roles in Matt LaFleur's offense. So, I know there's nobody usurping Tonyan at this point. So, I mean, if Jace can't find a role in that offense, then I think that's where he struggles. But I think as far as like comping players, I think it's guys like Dominique that would be competing with Josiah DeGuara, not necessarily Sternberger at all.
I agree with a lot of that. The thing that I keep coming back to is, remember when Jace was a rookie and Vitali got hurt, and all of a sudden they didn't have any fullbacks, right? And then Jace had to play fullback, and he was actually, and they used him as a fullback / H-back, and he was actually really good. Like, it was shocking. He was like lining up in I form and like clearing guys out in ISO, and like played really, really physical and really well. And I just remember being shocked because, like, you look at the guy and you think, okay, like you said, receiving tight end, like through and through. So it's not so much that I think, like, no, are they going to have a head-to-head? But he can do it. He's shown he can do some of that move stuff. He can, like, to Andy's point, yeah, Andy, I think you're right. Like, you undoubtedly have, like, kind of a free roster spot in the sense of, like, okay, we can at least keep him to week 3 and then make our decision. We can expand that. Speaking of receiving, we can expand it to the wide receiver group. And Mr. Adams obviously is who he is. We all know, best receiver in the league. I will not accept any arguments against that. Nick, let me ask you about everybody else, because I get asked every single day here on CHTV about how many receivers they're going to keep. What are they going to do as far as 1, 2, 3, 4? We all know who 1 is, and I know it's not so much like, okay, it's not Madden. You don't put it in 2, 3, 4. This is your depth, and this is it, like, forever. Obviously, a lot of it is dependent on matchups and what you're doing that week, offensively, etc. But do we think, MVS going into a contract year, Lazard essentially in a contract year, and then you've got Funchess and EQ basically battling for a spot, maybe? How do you see it shaking out? Do you think they keep 5? Do you think they keep 6? What do you think? How do you see wide receivers shaking out?
Let me see. You got Adams, you got MVS, you got Lazard, you got Rodgers. I think that's the 4, hands down.
Yep.
I can definitely see them going 5, maybe 6. 6 might be a stretch though. So it might come down to see what pretty much what Funchess does. I think he has to have a good camp in order to really make the team, just based off of how they looked at last year, pretty much without him. And so now I've heard good things about Devin this offseason, and I mean, we all seen him on Twitter. I don't know who's bothering. I don't know who's bothering Devin.
Can we leave the man alone?
Like, leave that guy alone. But I mean, I'm rooting for him. I mean, because obviously he coming in. Somebody brought it up to me. They like, Devin really hasn't played in like 2 years, almost like 2-3 years now. Because his first year with the Colts, he only played like 1 game, and then he was out that year, and so he opted out last year, and so this would be the first time we'll see Devin in, and hopefully he's ready to go. But he's definitely I think he's on the bubble. Brown should be on the bubble, and I think it's between those two. I think it's between those two guys.
You could definitely see Devin Funchess going this is a sore subject, but the Jay Kumaro route, in that EQ can play special teams. He could be a gunner. He could play kickoff. He could play kick return.
You're letting go.
Devin Funchess is not doing that, right?
Coming to Malik then, right? So then you got
and so it could be, it could be Malik Taylor who basically beat out EQ last year.
Right.
EQ is going to have to do a thing in training camp if he wants to make this team. Like speaking of cut candidates, Perri, like
yes,
Equinemius St. Brown.
Isn't Amari Rodgers also like a total candidate to do all of that special teams work? And he's making the roster.
Well, from a return standpoint, I just mean like he could play kick coverage. You know what I mean? He could be a gunner and punt coverage.
Devin
Funchess, right? He's not doing that stuff. So, and that was why that was allegedly why Matt LaFleur was saying at the end of the year that Josh Jackson wasn't playing because they felt like they had some better special teams, which is just like a bad sign for Josh Jackson. But
speaking of special teams and wide receiver, I love the fact if you go back, remember during the draft process, EQ had that quote I think it was in Bob McGinn's piece when he did the blurbs about all the wide receivers, but this is a verified quote from Funchess. Like Funchess said point blank at Notre Dame, I don't play special teams. And now if he wants to continue a career in Green Bay, he has to play special teams.
You think so?
He hasn't been a special teams guy, but how do you justify keeping him around?
That's true.
If he doesn't play teams. After those 4 guys you just mentioned.
He's going to need a good preseason. I mean, he has to prove it. I mean, he hasn't played in 2 years. Yeah. We don't know what he has.
I think there's a spot for either EQ or Funchess. I think you can keep your top 4, Lazard, Rodgers, and then MVS and Adams. And then I think the 6th guy has to be a special teams dude, which Malik Taylor shows he can do. He's at the number 1 gunner on punt team, etc. Or maybe somebody else, but that has to be a special teams. Like I feel like it has to be Funchess or EQ for that 5th spot.
It really, so how many wide receivers y'all think they're gonna go? 5 or 6? I think that's where it really comes down to.
They've been doing 6. I mean, it seems like 6 might be the new MO just from a special teams value standpoint.
I think a lot of it though depends on how it shakes out at tight end and numbers at other places. That's the thing. It's like Brian always talks about the puzzle, right?
And corner,
putting those pieces together. Yeah, like those bottom of the depth chart spots are determined usually by special teams, and that all affects each other. Like the when you're talking about the numbers game. And Amari Rodgers Amari Rodgers would have to absolutely fall on his face as both a receiver and a returner. And even then, he was a 3rd-round pick. Ryan traded up for him. There's no way they're cutting this kid. So he's got it. He's as close to a lock as there is. So, it all comes down to teams.
I will say that I think wasn't the rumor that they plan on having Funchess, play the tight end last year? Wasn't that a rumor?
Well, no, that was a rumor I think propagated by the internet. I don't think the Packers very much thought that much at all. Going to running back, we've got Aaron Jones, we got AJ Dillon, former 2nd-round pick, and then we have Pax What She Said superstar Patrick Taylor in the mix. Maggie and Perri got to interview Patrick earlier this offseason. That was good stuff. And then we got the 7th-round pick. We got Hill and then Dexter Williams. Dexter, if it was going to happen, Dexter, it would have happened by now. That's all I got to say about that, Dexter Williams. But who do we see as 3? I know. Don't give me Dexter Williams because I will not accept that answer. But I'm opening it up to the entire group here. Who do we see as running back 3?
No, really quick. I genuinely want to know if anybody was going to have him as their 3 anyway. Like I don't think you have.
No, I don't want to know because I don't want to end a friendship tonight. I don't want to do
I
that.
did say on Locked On Packers today that the best case scenario from a pure talent standpoint, the best, just like we're making shit up. The best case scenario for the Packers was Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, for Dexter Williams to play to his talent, make the roster, and have Kylan Hill be your practice squad guy that you can just sneak in there. Just because I think that's how you would do that. But
Lockdown Packers making shit up since the onset.
I know. I was just gonna say that's what
I said.
Just making shit up.
That's the point of the exercise was just like, let's talk about totally hypothetical. So like that was the concept. Anyway,
Patrick Taylor is the only one that has like a different skill set to bring, right? Like he's much bigger. He's a bigger body. He's coming off.
Is he the only one that's been on Pack What She Said? You have AJ Dillon? No.
Oh man, that's cold.
No, I'm saying that's the skill set. That's a skill. That's a skill. That's what I'm saying.
Patrick Taylor is like light AJ Dillon. Like that he's like AJ Dillon light. Like Kylan Hill is the guy that can actually be the receiver out of the backfield and do something a little bit different, I feel like.
Kylan Hill's a brick shithouse, man. Like once he gets going, he is running.
I'm so excited for him. Like I know he had he had issues like that kind of like made him fall down the draft boards. But good God, man, like watching some of his tape, I was like, if those sparks can like just pop up every like, couple snaps like per game, I'm like, he's a perfect 3. Like, perfect. Like, because again, like talking about skill sets, like he can do things that like Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon are unable to do because they do other things very, very well. But like, Kylan Hill, I'm excited for him. And how LaFleur, like, listen, we talked about DeGuara before, like the way that he utilizes running backs and like the way he utilizes tight ends, like, I'm really excited to see how they put him in there.
And the thing is whoever that 3 is going to play.
Yeah.
Because injuries are a thing in the NFL at running back. Like how you can't get through a year with both guys being completely healthy. That's never going to happen. At some point, Dillon's going to go down. At some point, Jones is going to go down. And you need 3 to be able to play.
Well, so am I the only one then that sees 4? Because I think Patrick Taylor and Kylan Hill make the roster. I see the Packers going 5 wide receivers, 4 tight ends because of Jace.
That's a
and
possibility.
Starting with 4. They kept 4 last season right out of camp because of Tyler Ervin, even though he kind of like played wide receiver a little bit.
Wide receiver too. Yeah.
Not a running back.
No,
Maggie, I think that's very much in play. I think that's
but Amari Rodgers can play some running back too. He could line up
and will undoubtedly. Yep. Well, and that's what I was talking about earlier, as far as like the back end of the depth charts having to line up puzzle piece wise with special teams, and you gotta, those numbers are only going to fit, 100%. I think they could keep 4 backs, but I don't think the 4th back is going to be active a whole lot, most likely.
Healthy scratch,
just because of numbers, just as far as like you can only have 46, and 4 running back, unless, both Hill and Patrick Taylor are insanely like demonic on special teams. I don't know. And hopefully that's the case. We'll see. All right, fine. We'll start talking about the quarterback position.
Is there a problem there?
They got rid of Tim Boyle. That's the damn problem.
That is a huge problem. Monster problem.
The laser show has moved to Detroit.
We're going around the horn. We're going around the horn here. Matt, we're starting with you, buddy. And then we're going all the way. And then Maggie, and then Tom, then Perry, then Peter, then Nick, then Andy. Here we go. Does Aaron Rodgers show up next week, Matt? Go.
Yes, I think at some point he might not be there out the gate, kind of like me at work. I might not show up scheduled, but at some point I will be there. I think he'll be there at some point.
That's it. That is the quote of the night.
You don't need to go anywhere else.
I was just going to say, I don't think we're going to beat that, but I do want to hear from everybody on this. Maggie, is Aaron Rodgers going to be there next week?
I don't think he'll be there on the 27th, but I could see him coming at the end of the week, like first week in August, weekend-ish.
For when we show up, obviously.
Yeah, for when Pax what she said is on the ground. I get it. He's waiting for you guys. I get
it. Definitely.
Grossi, is Aaron Rodgers there next week?
I think maybe August. But honestly, all these conversations don't matter because
correct.
Kurt Benkert is going to walk out in a full Halo
outfit
armor, and he is going to prove why he is QB1. And people might say like, "Oh, Jordan Love, first round pick." Nay. I haven't seen Jordan Love once on TikTok, and if I know the internet, and I like to think I know a little bit of it, that everything is telling me that Kurt's going to be QB1. So nothing else matters.
That's outstanding.
Is Jordan Love not on TikTok?
Who cares? Perry,
I have no idea.
Aaron Rodgers going to be there next week?
Not next week, but later in camp. Yeah. I mean, Maggie and I talked today about like what's the latest date we can envision Rodgers showing up and still being the starter week 1, and we decided on September 5th.
Yeah,
so
it's like the Thursday before week 1, whatever that date is.
It's the week that they have to prep for the Saints game, basically that Monday. I mean, look, like I personally want to give Jordan Love as much time as possible to develop, and on it, if Rodgers does show up the week before week 1, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna come in under center and he's gonna know the playbook and he's gonna be fine. So like, why not give Jordan Love all the time and the snaps and the preseason games and everything that he didn't get last season with like no Rodgers distraction? Like, I don't mind it.
Peter, does he show up next week?
He's not going to show up next week, but he shows up at some point. And because so much has already been said, I do want to make a prediction that this will happen. The first Jordan Love preseason game, if we get a Jordan Love preseason game where he just like looks really good,
right,
there will be some Aaron Rodgers capers who say, see, this is why Aaron Rodgers is not there, because he knew Jordan Love would play well, and then it would incentivize the Packers to trade him. He knew that will happen. 100% that will happen on Fox Sports 1 or something.
From many Woodley Twitter accounts, undoubtedly.
Retweets.
That's a lot of retweets. Nick, is Aaron Rodgers there next week?
Listen, I personally need him to come back next week because I would get cooked on Twitter if he does. I mean, I already got people. I already got trolls. I deal with it all the time. I've been saying, look, man, 12 will be there. He'll be there. I mean, look, at this rate, I feel like he has to be there, right? I mean, because you don't want to start to, people come to training camp, then you bring that stuff to the locker room. Right now, it hasn't really hit the locker room, but I think once those guys show up, it's going to start hitting the locker room. And I mean, he's been preaching about keeping stuff in the house, but then his house right now, is out here retweeting Stephen A. Smith clips. And so I don't know what's going on, but I feel like Rodgers has to show up next week. Maybe not the first day, but sometime he's gonna have to show up at some point in time to let people know, hey, what's going on.
What kind of money does he owe if he doesn't come? That's another question.
Like $60,000 a day,
right?
$2 million of bonus money.
And I feel like if he was gonna sit out, he would have just opted out and not took a fine. I mean, that's what I've been saying. At least that's what I heard.
He did have the opt-out chance that he didn't take.
Yeah,
exactly.
Dude, if Rodgers does not show up, I am going to get roasted so hard.
I'm right there with you, man.
Yeah,
I'm right there.
I've been talking trash. Like I've been talking trash. Even like some stuff I don't even believe. I've been talking like I've been like just so hard. Like Rodgers isn't gonna be there, and I just get mad and I just say stuff. And then at some point, if he doesn't show up, I know there's receipts. People are screenshotting. People are saying things.
Oh, none of that means
that's how they
anything,
get.
though.
Yep.
Andy, is Aaron Rodgers there next week?
Am I allowed to say I don't care? Like, I just don't care anymore. I don't care. Just tell me which way it's going to go. I don't care. If it's Love, if it's Benkert, if it's Bortles, if it's Rodgers, whatever. I'm cool. Season's going to start, and I'm ready for it.
That's so funny because that's literally where I was 3 days after that Schefter tweet. Like, there's literally a tweet out there after the draft. I said it's only been 3 days, and I seriously don't give a shit. I'm, and it's only been exacerbated over the course of the last X number of months. I'm right there with you. It's like, does he have legitimate grievances? I have no doubt.
Yep.
But enough to just quit, which is what he would be doing. This team is a Super Bowl contender with him. And if he says, nah, no thanks, I'm good, he's quitting. He's just quitting.
And see the thing is, he knows how they are in that front office. He knows that they're not going to budge. He knows that.
Yeah, exactly.
Who's winning the PR battle right now, Rodgers or the Packers?
Well, I think Rodgers, just because he's way more on the offensive. And I know he hasn't done a lot himself, but the Schefter stuff, that's CAA. Yeah. We got the Woodleys out here retweeting everything.
Are we talking about winning public sentiment?
Yes. Who's winning public sentiment?
Like winning hearts and minds of Packer fans?
Packers.
I think it's the Packers.
Big time Packers.
The Packers haven't done anything though.
Normal is what the Packers are doing, right? They still are holding OTAs and mini camps and training camp, and everything's normal for them. For Rodgers, he's the one that's doing something different. He's upsetting the apple cart, if you will. Like, to me, by not saying anything,
I hear you.
Not yet, but if he
next week is when, if he's not there next week, then that's a shit show, right?
Yeah.
Because there's no apple cart to upset. Like you just said, they're having mini camps, they're having an off season. Like,
agreed. But if he doesn't show up next week, then to me, like, he's the one doing something different. Like,
well, then it all shifts.
Yeah.
And see, in my opinion, I feel like he's losing an unwinnable battle. I don't think he can win this battle. I just think that the way that the NFL culture is structured, it's not built for the way, like, if you notice the way he tweets about the Bucs, like they won. He congratulated the front office and the GMs and stuff like that. The
great moves the GM made.
Exactly. You know it. Right. You see it, Aaron. You see it. And so the NFL is not, I don't think no time soon, at least not right now, it's not going to be that type of structure with an NFL team like how NBA team is ran. And so these players, they're trying to get to that point, but I just think right now that is a losing battle. And so,
and it's funny because it's kind of in the air. You heard the reports today about Zach Ertz in Philadelphia, like, dueling reports, and that's clearly different sources, different camps saying, Zach will be there, he's on board, and Garofalo comes on NFL Network and he's like, well, hold on, he may show up, but he's still pissed and still wants out. It's like there's a bit of a rumbling here with NFL players trying to drive it a little bit more, trying to usher in a bit more of NBA style player driven. And I'm with you, Nick. I don't think the NFL's not set up for that. It's just a lose. I'm with you. I think it is a losing battle.
Losing battle, Rodgers. Go ahead and come back, man.
We have Lee 86 in the comments saying, but what if he retires? There is a chance. Yes, there's a chance. But he owes the Packers a ton of money.
0% chance. 0% chance.
I don't think. I'm not going to say zero.
What's a number less than zero? That's the percent chance he retires.
Because if there's a man who would just do it, like a la Barry Sanders, it's Aaron Rodgers.
He's got 30 million reasons not to do it.
Opted out and saved himself $30 million.
No, because he would have saved money, but then he would have been right back where he was when he came back next year. You know what I mean?
Joining us to get her take, Lori Woodley, ladies and gentlemen. Lori Woodley, let's bring her in.
Is she in the comments? No, but
yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
Like, that's what I'm saying is like what Perry
Maggie tried not to laugh at that. I saw that, Maggie.
If he wanted to just get out of this year, because he's not going to retire. He's 37. He wants to play. He's been talking all about wanting to play. And if he was going to retire, like, wouldn't he have helped like already? And if he wanted to just get out of 1 year, wouldn't he have done the COVID thing?
You would think so, right?
Yeah, right. It's just I don't know. I think he's going to show up. I think it's his only option. And if I was the Packers, I'm big on Aaron Rodgers. Like I've been defending Aaron Rodgers the whole time. I'm not against the Packers, but I've been defending Aaron Rodgers a lot. But if I was the Packers, I would tell him, if you want to play football ever again in the next 3 years, you'll play for the Packers. And if not, good luck. We'll even build you a statue if you want, but like, we're not going to trade you. I would not trade Aaron Rodgers. And people are saying like, well, you got to get something from him. I wouldn't, because I'm petty like that. I would say if you want to play football in the next couple of years, it's going to be for the Packers. And if not, we'll build you a statue. You can be there, take some pictures. We'll get the street signs ready. We'll do all the things. But like, I'm not going to trade you. Like, I would not trade Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't. And maybe it's because I'm petty or whatever. And I love Aaron Rodgers. I just saying I would not even talk to anyone.
Entertain it, right?
Yeah. What was the Favre thing they offered him? Like team ambassador or like
$20 million? They offered him $20 million to stay, but that was to stay retired.
Right, but what was the title? Was it like team ambassador?
Yeah, it was like ambassador. Like
they wanted to be like
whatever.
the like what's happening right now with like Leroy Butler, James Jones, all these guys are going around. They wanted to be like the head.
Aaron, you can go on the tailgate tour, buddy.
Tailgate tour. We're moving forward with Jordan. You can be on the tailgate tour.
And he'd kill it too. He'd kill it. But
Grossi, are you with us? What's going on, buddy?
I'm just sitting in silence, waiting until we're done yelling about Aaron Rodgers. Like,
nope, never gonna happen. All right, thanks for playing.
God, that's what I was waiting for, and be like, you know what, guys? What do you feel about Josh Jackson? Like, he's all done with the Packers. Like, I was about to read some super chats, but
yeah, go ahead. Read some super chats. Go ahead. Do my job.
I don't have access to that. You
don't.
You don't have access.
Can we talk about something a little less controversial? Can we talk about vaccines for a second? I think we
a
little less controversial.
I thought abortion was first, but fine. If you want to do that,
was awesome today. Go. I never like what NFL rules get thrown into the mix, but God bless the NFL today. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Oh yeah.
And also, God bless Michael Irvin, who was out in front of this 2 weeks ago when he said, "If you don't get vaccinated, it just proves you don't want to win."
Yeah, he really put.
You don't want to win. I love it. Let Rodgers go to Vegas. He wants to leave. I mean, maybe.
I mean, have John Gruden. You want to do that?
Hey,
no, they got to send him to Dallas. Send
knock up if you're with me, okay? Like knock up. All right. Okay.
I love it.
That was the only contribution I wanted to give.
Nagler, do you see any situation where the Packers would trade Aaron Rodgers at this point? Because
no.
People will ask me this every single day, and I'm like, why would they trade him to a
Not
team?
now.
He would make better, and the draft pick would suck. Like, if they're going to trade him, they're going to trade him when they know the draft pick, not trade him to a team who he makes a draft pick suck ass because he's going to be good, and then that team's going to be better. And the draft pick, like, why would they do that? They'd be better. And plus, if they trade him to a team, that team flourishes and they make it to the playoffs or maybe win a Super Bowl, and then the Packers suck that year, everyone's getting fired. They're like, yo, you suck at your job. Like your career's over.
Well,
Be
it's so
back to
true.
business.
It's
You know what I
so
mean?
true.
Ramage is like me on the golf course. It takes him about an hour to warm up, and now he's just hot. Guy is red hot now. He's like, let's go another hour.
Okay,
let's do this.
But let's be clear here. We all know why Ramage, Nick, why these guys are hot. Because they're going to get roasted on Twitter. We all know, like that social heat is coming.
I can only defend them for so. I can't defend the girl retweet. I can't defend it. I can't defend it.
Wait, but Nick, it's so funny that you say that because today is like the first day that I've gone hard on this on my show, and I was surprised how many people said I was trying to be chill about this too, and the Shailene Woodley mom tweets.
Right.
Push me over the edge. It's just like it was just petty to a level that was so silly and ridiculous. Like, what are we? Is this fourth grade? Like, what is happening? Like, do you want to go on a date with me? Circle yes, no. Like, it's like that version of the shit.
It was
now.
his girl and his girl's mom. Like, come on now, what's going on?
Right.
What's going on,
thing.
man?
But here's the thing. This is after. By the way, the Woodley stuff is after we talked about his country club membership getting renewed and the deep cleaning of his home. It's like we are so beyond ridiculous at this point. Like it doesn't matter. None of this matters.
Oh, the deep cleaning one got me. The deep cleaning one really got me.
I mean, look at Maggie. Maggie is so fired up. She just can't contain herself. Like
like Kawhi Leonard in the stands for the Clippers game.
I cannot be more over this entire conversation.
I know. All right, so I think we'll wrap it up. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out tonight. This is kind of surreal to see us all in the same spot. I see you guys on Twitter all the time, obviously each and every day. But to have you here on Cheesehead TV is fantastic. And as I emailed you guys earlier, I really do hope we can do this in person sometime next year, because that would be amazing. Obviously, times being what they are, had to make this virtual this year, but hopefully next year we have some kind of summit, blogger, content creator summit, and we all throw down some beers and have a good time. Thank you all. Matt Ramage, find him on every social channel. Mr. Quick Trip himself. Maggie, Loney, and Perri Goldstein from Pax What She Said, Cheesehead TV, everywhere on the internet. They have their own Twitch. Make sure you find the Pax What She Said Twitch. It's phenomenal. Mr. Patcast, Tom Grossi, hanging out, deigning us with his presence. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for showing up.
Thank you.
Andy Herman, Mr. Pack-A-Day Podcast, the Don of Packers coverage everywhere. Nick Carter, Nick, I can't believe you're finally on Cheesehead TV. Thank you so much, man.
Oh yeah,
thank you
always
for showing
appreciate it, man. Long overdue. Long overdue.
We'll do more of this, absolutely. And Peter Bukowski on Cheesehead Motherfucking TV. Who would have thought we'd ever see the day?
Well, a lot of people didn't want this to happen. I saw on Twitter.
Speaking of social heat and getting roasted,
a crossover event we never expected.
Pete, you're muted, buddy.
Question?
Pete, you're muted.
Why do you not
you're
follow me on anything? I noticed.
Oh no!
Follow Matt Ramage.
Get him, Matt.
Oh no!
Get him, Matt.
Oh no!
It took Peter months to follow me. Also,
I know. I'm just
months.
kidding.
Months of what?
Peter.
Months of what?
Months of what? Months of Vulcan time.
Starting from when?
We have a super chat.
Did you read all the super chats, Nagler? You didn't do that.
John, I think
you were going to do it, Nagler.
I think Rodgers returns to the Packers for one more Super Bowl victory and then is traded in 2022 to win a Super Bowl for the Broncos and his fiancee. Why?
It's a weird comment.
Why?
That's a weird comment.
See, and then you wonder why I didn't read the super chats. Come on.
The whole Broncos thing is weird to me because like people think he's a free agent. Like he gets hit to choose.
Like
Broncos fans have been going crazy.
They're insane.
Broncos fans are on tilt.
If Drew Lock isn't a franchise QB, then I don't know what we're doing. Because
well, clearly they'd have to get him back in any kind of trade. No question.
Screw the Broncos. To hell with them. All of the Bronco fans, go to hell. Like
guys, Kyle Cousineau, the mayor of Green Bay, is here. Hi, Kyle. Good to see you.
Do you want to get him on too?
I might as well. Kyle, I'll shoot you the link. No, it's time to go. I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out. Thank you all. Tom Crabtree, I know you didn't get an invite. It's because you're not a content creator, buddy. You're a guest on Matt Ramage's show. If you did more regular content creation around the Green Bay Packers, I'd have invited you, but you don't. And also, I kicked your ass in Madden. So I like that.
This is getting mean real quick. Like, are we about to go around and play two truths and a lie?
Wait. You thought that was mean? Oh, Tom.
Tom, wait till we play Fuck, Marry, Kill.
Yeah, it's time. It is time to go. It is time to go. Thank you. Seriously, though. Thank you, everyone who showed up. Thank you, everyone who joined me tonight. Matt, Maggie, Andy, Tom, Nick, Peter, Perry. Thank you, guys.
You are quite welcome.
Thank you so much. We'll do this again. It's been a lot of fun. Everyone have a great night. Good to see everybody. Okay, you guys ready? I know you're
back
ready
up.
for it.
Should we chug the beer to end it? I don't know.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm almost out. There we go.
You guys don't have to, but I'm going to. Look at Peter over there. There's an empty wine glass. Come on, man up.
Good night, everybody.